guys are doing. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are well on this Sunday. And please join me as I take you through my own analysis of the State of the Nation address, right? State of the Nation address by the President of the Republic of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, right? This is the State of the Nation that was delivered, State of the Nation address that was delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa on the 6th of February 2025. Okay, so please join me, stay with me, just engage as I give you my own analysis, right? As you know, that in his State of the Nation address, known as Sona, on February 6, 2025, President Cyril Ramaphosa outlined several key initiatives and responses to current challenges facing South Africa, right? Firstly, being the economic reforms and infrastructure development, right? President Ramaphosa announced a second wave of economic reforms, right, aimed at boosting growth above 3%. These reforms focus on enhancing the performance of state-owned enterprises such as Eskom and Transnet, as well as significant investment infrastructure. The president emphasized the goal of transforming South Africa into a construction site, signaling a commitment to reindustrialization and substantial infrastructure projects, right? So, but already on this one now, you begin to have questions, right? So, but he's talking about strengthening the state-owned enterprises, right, such as Eskom. But now, how do you strengthen them when you continue to weaken them on the other side by the what do they call the disbanding, right? Whereby now they want to take Eskom and separate into three parts, right? Being the generation, transmission, and distribution, right? And distribution, right? And then on the other side, you've got these ones of the so-called renewable energy, right? Renewable energy that are being forced down the throats of South Africans and the South African government by this international community, which, by the way, is quite funny, right? Here I'm talking about the IPPs, the independent power producers, right? But you look, the Western countries, the West that is busy bombarding and compelling other countries to move in that direction, but they themselves are now beginning to be taking more coal from South Africa and all of that. So they're telling you to move into the left while they're moving to the right direction, right? So then already now we're beginning to raise questions about, say, but how is Ramaphosa planning on strengthening state-owned enterprises such as Eskom when they are busy at disbanding them, right? In a sense that we've got they separate the Eskom into three parts, and must ask the questions again, but who's going to benefit out of that, right? Because these things are not done just merely for the sake of doing this thing or for the benefit of the country, but they are competing economic interests behind these things, just as IPPs. Because if you're to look who are the people who own these so-called independent power producers, right, that are now being paraded as a solution to the energy crisis that South Africa is confronted with, right? Then we'll be shocked to realize that these are the people who are behind the current political leaders. They are the ones who are owners of these companies, right? Okay, so then we also move to the other one, the response to international criticism, right? Addressing recent tensions with the United States, particularly threats from President Donald Trump to cut funding over South Africa's new land reform laws. President Ramaphosa asserted that South Africa will not be bullied. He emphasized the nation's sovereignty and importance of unity in defending national interests. Right? The president also expressed concern over the potential suspension of the United States aid, especially programs targeting HIV/AIDS. Okay, well, let's go into that one. Okay, the issue here is he's saying what he's saying, that South Africa will not be bullied in all of it, but South Africa is not doing enough. His government is not doing enough to build, right? To build industries that are going to process the mineral resources that South Africa has been bestowed with, right? South Africa is gifted with a rich of mineral resources, but Sir Ramaphosa's government is not building, right? Is refusing to build industry that will process these things. So it's just the case where we're extracting these things, then we send them to the West, then we buy them back as finished products and finished goods, right? So it is one thing for him to be saying that we're going to be bullied and all of that, but we're gifted with these mineral resources, but we are not utilizing them to allow us to be a powerhouse as well, right? Because you say we are not going to be bullied, but we are not building any sustainable industries that can be able to sustain you as a country, right? In light of being under siege from this imperialist West, led by Donald Trump and his United States of America government, right? So see, that's one of the things that we should also be questioning that. But you're saying it's not, we're not going to be bullied, but what are you doing in practical terms to that we are not so reliant? We are not so reliant on these people, on these bullies such as Donald Trump and his the States of America's government, right? Okay. Then another key point that he spoke about is the energy security. The president highlighted the implementation of the Energy Action Plan, which has led to over 300 days without load shedding. This program is attributed to increased private investment in renewable energy and improvements in ESCOM operations. The government plans to build more than 14,000 kilometers of new transmission lines to accommodate renewable energy in the coming years. Again, here's the problem. Private investment. Who are these investors? And what is in it for them? You see. Then it tells you that indeed ESCOM is being sabotaged. ESCOM is being collapsed deliberately to open a route, right? To open a route for these so-called private investors. What does this mean? It means you create a crisis, right? You create a crisis, a man-made crisis. Then you come with solutions, right? Then you propose your fake, which is doing very well. You are actually behind the crisis. So out of that crisis, you know you're going to be able to accumulate through the solutions that you'll be bringing, knowing very well that you are the one behind the crisis and the problem. You see. Then we go to the social development and poverty alleviation. President Ramaphosa acknowledged the reduction in the unemployment rate to 31, in the unemployment rate to 32.1% in the third quarter 2024, down from 33.5% in the previous quarter. Also noted that consumer inflation is at a 4-year low, making essential goods more affordable. The government plans to extend and improve social relief of distress, which currently supports approximately 9 million unemployed individuals monthly as a step towards income support for the unemployed. Again, this is true, guys. 370. Then you claim that you are supporting approximately 9 million unemployed people by 370. Take that 70 and go to ShopRite and see how many items can you be able to buy, items that are going to sustain you, items that are going to sustain you for the whole month. And in the process, remember, you're talking about people who are unemployed. In the process, you've got to be making means, right, to find jobs. I personally, I mean, in business of internet cafe, I know how much it costs to just create a CV and make printouts and all of that. That 370 is nothing. Even his dogs, this being Cyril Ramaphosa, cannot survive on 370 per month. But here is his parading it as some sort of a positive action. You see? So, again, this tells you just how much out of touch this government is with reality and the concrete realities and situations that people are confronted with on the ground. You see, then let's move to the one that he also spoke about, the hosting the G20 summit. But this was it. South Africa is set to host the G20 summit in November 2025. President Ramaphosa called on all citizens to contribute to the summit's success, emphasizing the opportunity to advance the interests of the African continent and the global south. The focus will be on promoting sustainable development, inclusive economic growth, and the transformation of international financial institutions to ensure inclusive growth. These initiatives reflect the government's commitment to economic revitalization, social development, and maintaining national sovereignty in the face of international challenges. Here, speaking about international financial institutions, the banks and all of that, you ask yourself, his government is unable to save Vitala Bank. The only or one of the only institutions that could say at least is reflective in terms of the ownership. It is reflective of the demographics of this country. Right? So how can we aim to go big when we are unable to deal with things on a smaller scale, such as Itala Bank and all of that? Right? And the banks are still largely in the hands of white people. The very same banks that still target black people, that still racially profile black people when it comes to loans and all of these things. Right? So there's no concrete plan that is put in place so these things are addressed. A plan that is quite clear, you can be able to identify if you are making progress or not. That each and everyone as the citizen, we are able to say, but 1, 1, 2, 3, we are not making progress on this and that. We are failing on this and that. You see. So those are the things. Those are the things that this government is unable to do. And each and every year, there's this, to an extent that most of the people have lost interest in listening to what the president has to say during the State of the Nation address. Because it becomes a repetition, but there's no action. There's no call to action here. You see the concern. So those are my analysis of the State of the Nation address as delivered by President Ramaphosa. Let me hear your own analysis, guys. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you differ with me? On which points do you differ with me? Let's engage in the comment section below. And by the way, now every Sundays we are going to have these talks, right? We are going to have these talks. I'm going to call them "Tell Me the Black Perspective." These discussions that we're going to have every Sunday. Every Sunday now going live under the Black Perspective, meaning we're going to analyze different situations that unfolded during that week, right? Giving a black perspective. Because remember, we are bombarded with the Western narrative on those mainstream media, even on these platforms. Now they've started to flood these platforms with their Western Eurocentric approach, right, and views, right? So this slot is going to be called the Black Perspective. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Please remember to like, share, comment, and become part of the family. Thank you very much.